I will call this Tigard City Council meeting to order. City Recorder Krieger, please call roll.
Youth Councilor Bogle,
Here.
Councilor Shaw,
Here.
Councilor Singh,
Here.
Councilor Wolf,
Here.
Council President Hu,
Here.
Mayor Liu.
Here. Thank you, everybody. If you will please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, everyone. City teammates or City Council, are there any non-agenda items this evening you'd like to add?
None from us, Mayor.
Okay, thank you so much. We will move on to public comment. If you would like to provide public comment by video or phone, please log in now or call to get in the queue. The phone number is 503-966-4101. And we will start with follow-up to previous public comment with Assistant City Manager Nyland. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So at last week's council meeting, which was also a joint budget committee meeting, we had 7 people provide public comments, and all were made in person. The first 4 individuals provided comments about our city grants, the community and social service grants. The commenters expressed much gratitude about the opportunity, and there were some concerns about the proposed cap in funding. The last 3 comments were about the navigator. This is a position which was recommended by the Public Safety Advisory Board. It was discussed during the fiscal year 2024 budget development and ultimately was not included in our current budget. We agreed to continue that conversation, which we are doing now. At last week's meeting, the group approved a process to discuss the position. Our aim is to bring back recommendations from the ad hoc board to the budget committee in January. Everyone did receive a follow-up, thanking them for their time and their interest, and we will keep them updated as the process continues. That is my report for this evening. I am now going to turn on the heat for the first time because winter is here. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, we're in for a couple of cold nights. You can really start to feel it change. So we did receive one written comment yesterday by noon. It was from Kanye Ramakers regarding the appreciation for the grant awards given to the Tigard Turns the Tide and Stud Club at Tigard High School. We do not have anyone signed up for in-person public comments. Senior Network Administrator Thornburg, is there any phone callers in the queue or anyone signed up to provide public comment by video today?
There are 2 calls in the queue.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. We will take the first person for phone public comment. And I do just want to let you know that public comment is an opportunity for the City Council to hear from our community. It's not a time for dialogue or interactions together. You have 2 minutes to speak, and if follow-up is needed, our city staff or one of our counselors will respond to you, given your provided information. So I will welcome the first caller.
We first have Eric Adams.
I couldn't understand that. Hi, Eric. Eric, you're welcome to start at any time. Are you still on the line? Mr. Thornburg, can we proceed with the second caller and perhaps the first individual will dial back in?
Yes, the next one we have is Anna Murphy.
Okay, thank you. Hi, Anna.
Hello?
Hi, Anna.
Hi there. Okay, so at the last discussion of time, place, and manner, Kim Azal had mentioned that the TVFNR was not collecting data on the fire risk associated with homeless encampments. Portland Fire and Rescue does, and this data was published in Willamette Week. This is relevant as we are looking at other cities to help inform the changing of this policy. The data shows that 41% of all fires in 2022 in Portland were homeless related. The raw number is 1,959. The City Council, as well as the public, should be aware of the increased fire risk associated with allowing open fires, gas heaters, or camp stoves as part of this ordinance change. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Mr. Thornburg, has Eric, our first caller, come back?
Why don't we come back to him? We also have one video commenter.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to allow Matt Gilman. 1 second.
Hi, Matt. Welcome to the Tigard City Council. I believe, let's see if you are available to speak.
Matt, you can go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay. Hello, hello. Hi, can you hear me? Hello.
Matt, we can't really hear you.
You can't. Okay. Hold on. Can you see me?
We can see you, but I can hear you very faintly.
How about now? Are you able to see me now? I mean, hear me now?
No, it's not any better.
No? Okay. How about if I speak up loudly? Because I really need to speak.
I can barely understand you, so I'm not sure.
Okay. Let me come back out and go back in. I need
We
to
also
go
have a
back
phone number call-in. That may be easier for you.
in. Good. All right.
Mr. Thornburg, do we have our first caller available?
We'll add him to the queue and see if he's available.
Thank you.
Eric Adams, you're good to go. Oh, he just hung up.
Okay.
I can let you know when the video commenter calls in.
Okay, thank you. We will go ahead and move on to our city manager report with City Manager Reimer.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, good evening, Mayor, councilors, members of the community, and my teammates are here. As the Mayor said, it's great to see a full council chamber. It's just great to have so many community members and teammates here. Realize it's a special night for many of you as you consider the appointment to our boards and committees. So just want to thank you in advance for your work with our community, as well as working with our many teammates that serve all the different advisory boards and committees that we have. So look forward to the next item. Just a few quick updates. I shared this with the council last week, but I'm glad there's so many people here to share with as well. As you have heard from our chief, as well as one of our commanders, we're continually looking at ways of filling the vacancies in our police department, like unfortunately police departments around the country are doing and regionally. But I'm happy to say that Officer Ali Ali and Justin Rusconi both graduated from the Basic Law Academy, and so they're now in their training, and I believe they will be working within our community on their own come February, I believe is the date. So that's great news, as our chief and others have been very creative in trying to attract good new teammates to our community. This now brings our current vacancies down to 6, and as of the report, we had 3 conditional offers out as well. So continuing to work on that to make sure that our community has, and our team has, all the officers that you've approved. So thanks to the chief and everyone for your efforts in that. A couple things happening in our recreation area. This Saturday are a couple events. First, from 10:30 to noon, we have the Halloween Canine Costume Contest at Potso Dog Park. So if you're interested in that, feel free to go on off a wall there at Potso. There's also hosting a dog food drive to help restock supplies at the Family Promise of Tualatin Valley. So another great way of our community coming together to have fun, but also to show support for others that are in need, including our pets and animals as well. The other event is we have a movie on the court this Saturday at 5:30 at the Rose City Futsal, and we will be showing Little Mermaid, so you can meet Ariel, Sebastian, and other characters that evening on the screen. A couple of projects that are important for this community as well. As you know, we have a very aggressive capital improvement program, so there's projects that were happening throughout the community to improve the environment and the livability and vibrancy of our community. And two key ones are, we just had our pre-construction meeting for the Faneuil Creek Trail connection. As you know, we've been working on Faneuil Creek Trail for many years regionally, and so there's another connection that we're working on, and we're tentatively set to mobilize to begin the work in mid-November. So in a few weeks, we should see additional work happening on parts of Faneuil Creek Trail. And then another trail is the Red Rock Creek Trail in the Tiger Triangle, working on that as well. And we had our third meeting of our stakeholder working group this week, and continuing to work with the property owners, different public agencies, other community representatives to really look at the project and the alignment. To date, we're getting very positive feedback about the project, how it's going to improve the area and improve some of the opportunities for our community in our already extensive trail system, but expanding upon that. And that concludes my remarks for this evening. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. I will just say as a personal note, I'm very excited to be a judge for the dog costume contest. As a prior member of the Parks and Rec Board, I've been waiting for years to do this. I love dogs dressed up. Sorry, I was just so excited. Mr. Thornburg, do we have, I believe, Eric or Matt back?
Yeah, we have Matt. Do you want me to put him in now?
I'm sorry, what did you say? You said no?
Yes, we have Matt. I can put him in now.
Okay.
Matt, go ahead.
Hello, are you able to hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you, Matt. Apologize.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's fine. It's technology, right? I think we all realize that it has its glitches. Okay, so yeah, thanks again for having me this evening. My name's Matthew Gilman. I live in Portland, Maine. Okay, I am a former Tyler Technologies consultant. I've been out of work for 6 months. I was hired by a company called DataClimb. They won and was awarded a contract with you folks, with your city, okay? I was told I was going to start this job, which was $60 an hour, okay? So it would have been about $124,000 for myself for the next 12 months. I was told I was going to start mid-September. That didn't happen. The date got pushed back. Then I was given a date of October 2nd. I said, okay, I can wait. So I waited until October 2nd. Now, during this time I waited, I turned down 2 offers because I had a contract to work for DataClimb. Now, lo and behold, I send an email to Mr. Clark, and which he tells me it's now been pushed back, and I may not even have that job. I take that back. He just said it was pushed back. Either way, folks, what I'm trying to say is, I looked online. My portion of this didn't start until January 24th of 2024. So I'm trying to figure out what's happened, what's going on. I tried to reach out to Tony, contracts administrator. She would not speak to me. I tried to reach out to assistant city manager. He wouldn't speak to me. I left a message for the city manager. He did not return my call. What's happening? I have a bachelor's in public administration, okay? I studied to be a city manager at the University of Maine, class of 93. And from what I learned, most of this should be public information, but again, I just really want to know what happened, who conned me, who lied to me, and beyond that, I'm a great consultant. If you guys need an ERP Munis consultant, I'm your man. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. And Mr. Thornburg, Eric hasn't come back?
Not from that I can tell, but there is one more caller in the queue.
Okay, go ahead and put them in. I'm not sure who it is, so I just want to make sure that they hear. Public comment is an opportunity for the City Council to hear from our community. It's not intended to be a dialogue or a conversation, and you have 2 minutes. Welcome to Tigard City Council. can you hear us? Technology is just not our
I'm not
friend.
sure. I'm not sure whether I'm in the queue. I'm Yasin from Data Crime, so just listening to. So no comments so far.
Oh, you're just listening. Okay. Well, thank you for tuning in.
And that's all.
Thank you, Mr. Thornburg. The next item on our agenda are boards, committees, and commission appointments, which is why all of you are here. Welcome. I will present this item, and we do have a slideshow today. And I want to just start off by saying this is one of my absolute favorite days to welcome you all to Tigard Chambers, the City Council Chambers, and really honor you for the work that we're asking you to do and that you've signed up to do to serve your community. You're all here for different reasons, and we had 30 individuals who were interested, who were new, and we had 15 individuals who wanted to sign up for reappointment. And it was my pleasure to interview and have the opportunity to talk to all of you. Senior Management Analyst Nicole Hendricks and I were in the room for all of you, and you provided incredible insight. I asked you all very similar questions. What do you love about Tigard? What do you find challenging? And why do you want to serve? And although it was somewhat tiring to talk to that many people, it's really invigorating, and it reminds me of why I do and want to do what I do because of the community that we have here in Tigard. So it was my absolute pleasure to speak to all of you and hear why you're excited to serve. And I hope that this is a fun little celebration, welcoming you to our boards and committees like Tigard has never seen. We have a fun little selfie area. Thank you. Yes. It's a celebration, and I hope, we do some very serious stuff in this chamber, and I hope that we can balance it out with the truly exciting celebrations that we have as well. And so you really provided all that incredible, valuable insight. And the way this is going to work is we have a resolution for each board or committee. I felt strongly that that was important, that we didn't do it in one foul swoop, that each of your boards and committees had the time and the respect to come up and have the opportunity if you want to let us know who you are and welcome you. I have some pins to give to you. You can take a selfie at any time by yourself, or we can take a selfie together. I hope that this is just really fun as we welcome you to our boards and committees. Yeah, it wasn't just white. It was a big reveal. Yeah, yep. I believe, yep, we do have a slideshow. Eric, can you put that up, please?
Perhaps, Mayor, while we're waiting, do you want questions or just comments at the end from councilors, or would you like it at the beginning?
Yeah, we can do questions and comments now. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, one, I want to thank you for all your hard work, because I know there was a lot of time for interviewing, reviewing the application, interviewing by both staff and the mayor. And I just want to thank you for all your efforts. I know there's a couple of areas perhaps for process improvements, because I know we did hear from a couple of volunteers for a variety of reasons they may not have been reappointed. So perhaps in January in our council goals, we can just do a quick review, a couple of things, because I noticed there's some of the boards and committees don't have term limits, some others do. Some ask for specific occupations, some don't. So perhaps there's just an opportunity to make sure there's consistent process. But again, it was more a process point, and I want to thank you for all your hard work.
Yeah, thank you for that. I'm certainly happy to speak to it. I think one of our committees, in particular, the Committee for Community Engagement, is an incredibly popular committee that we had twice as many people wanting to serve as there were vacancies. And I feel really strongly, and I think Tigard feels really strongly of bringing a wide variety of voices to the tables. And those individuals who have served several terms, I think it was important to make spaces for new voices at the table. And Senior Management Analyst Hendricks and I have talked about in January, when we have sort of a mid-cycle for this council check-in, to really look at our boards and committee process. Because as we were looking through the matrix, not everybody has the same term, not everybody has like similar requirements, or people would be interested in multiple committees, but they would qualify for some and not for others. And so to really talk to the council and give direction. So in 2024, there's an entire year for us to deep dive into our boards and committees, ensure that there's consistency between term limit, some of them are 4 years, some of them are 3 years. Should there be term limits? I believe there should. City Council has term limits. I think the community of Tigard has confirmed in just polling that they prefer term limits, but also talking about the role of alternate positions and really clean all of that up, as well as looking at our current boards and committees serving the city of Tigard. Do we need to add new ones? I just want to, make sure to clarify any questions. So, but thank you for that.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay. Well, we will go ahead and get started with the audit committee. If we could have the next slide. My recommendation is to reappoint Joy Lee. Is Joy here today? Hi, welcome. Would you like to speak to the council at all? Just wave and say hi. Is there any comments or a motion?
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 23-32.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? Will the city recorder please read the number and title of the resolution?
Resolution number 23-32, a resolution reappointing Joy Lee as a voting member to the Audit Committee.
Thank you. Youth Councilor Vogel, we'd like to start with you for an advisory vote.
Yes.
Thank you. All of those in favor of the resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Resolution number 23-32 is adopted by unanimous vote of the council. Congratulations. Next time, maybe we'll do cupcakes too. More of a celebration. Okay. Can you advance to the next slide, please? My recommendations for the Budget Committee are to reappoint Kelly Piment, who has done an incredible job, and appoint Scott Duddy as well for 3-year terms for voting members of the Budget Committee. Is there any questions or comments regarding the resolution? Are you here, Kelly or Scott? Kelly is in the back. Scott, are you by chance online joining us tonight? We have several people joining us.
Yes, I am online.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move to approve resolution number 2333 for the Budget Committee.
I second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the city recorder please read the number and title of the resolution?
Resolution number 23-33, a resolution reappointing Kelly Piment as a voting member and appointing Scott Duddy as a voting member to the Budget Committee.
Thank you. Youth Councilor Vogel, we'd like to start with you for an advisory vote.
Yes.
Thanks. All of those in favor of resolution 23-33, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The resolution passes by unanimous vote of the council. Welcome. have the next slide, please? Okay, so the Committee for Community Engagement had several openings, and I am recommending Stacy Gadusi as a voting member for 4 years, Jeremy Haju-Pullen as a voting member for 4 years, Diego Rivera Vigil as a voting member for 4 years, Rachel Rowdy as a voting member for 4 years, Ali Alexander as a voting member for 3 years, Jennifer Calloway as a voting member for 2 years, and Caitlin Johnson as a voting member for 2 years. If you are here, can you raise your hand and let us know? Welcome. Are there any questions or comments regarding the resolution? Or a motion?
I move to approve resolution number 2334.
I second.
The resolution has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, City Recorder Krager, please read the number and title of the resolution.
Resolution 23-34, a resolution appointing Ali Alexander, Jennifer Calloway, Stacy Godosi, Jeremy Haidu-Paulin, Caitlin Johnson, Diego Rivera Vigil, and Rachel Roundy as members to the Committee for Community Engagement.
Thank you. Youth City Councilor, we'd like to start with a roll call or a advisory vote.
Yes.
Thank you. All of those in favor of approving resolution 23-34, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, the resolution passes by unanimous vote of the council. Please come on up and receive your pins. Spend a lot of time ruining my clothes the last couple of years. And I do want to say, anybody who has joined us online, we are happy to, we will send you a pin. And if you were bummed that you have missed out on the selfie experience, we can coordinate it and we can still get one for you in the future. Okay, can we have the next slide, please? For the library board, I'm recommending Kate Ristow for a reappointment for a 4-year voting term, Rose Hulett for voting for a 4-year term, and Lily Diaz as an alternate for a 1-year term. Is there any discussion or comments on the resolution or a motion?
I move to approve resolution 23-35.
I'll second.
The resolution has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, City Recorder Krager, please read the number and title of the resolution.
Resolution number 23-35, a resolution reappointing Kate Ristow as a voting member, appointing Lily Diaz as an alternate member, and Rose Hulett as a voting member to the library board.
Thank you. Youth Councilor Vogel, we will start with you for an advisory vote.
Yes.
Thank you. All of those in favor of the resolution, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Resolution 23-35 passes with unanimous vote of the council. Please come on up. Can we have the next slide, please? For the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, I am recommending Ken Barker be reappointed for a 4-year term and Denise Stevens be appointed as an alternate for a 2-year term. Are you here in the audience with us today? Welcome. Are there any comments or questions or a motion on the resolution?
I move to approve resolution 23. Sorry about that. 2326.
And I'll second.
I believe it's 2336.
Did I say 26?
Yes.
My apologies. 36.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on the resolution? Seeing none, will the city recorder please read the number and title of the resolution?
Resolution number 23-36, a resolution reappointing Ken Barker as a voting member and appointing Denise Stevens as an alternate member to the Park and Recreation Advisory Board.
Thank you. Youth Councilor Vogel, we'll start with you.
Yes.
Thanks. All of those in favor of resolution number 23-36, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. The resolution passes by unanimous vote of the council. Welcome. Please come on up. If we could have the next slide, please. Okay. For the Planning Commission, I am recommending reappointment of Bajeta Chowdhury for a 4-year term, reappointing Dan Murphy for a 4-year term as voting members, Zachary Claremont as an alternate for a 2-year term, and April Sabi as an alternate for a 2-year term. Are you here in the audience tonight? Hi, April. Okay. Is there any comments or questions or a motion on the resolution?
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 23-37.
I second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? City Recorder Krager, can you please read the number and title of the resolution?
Resolution number 23-37, a resolution reappointing Bajeta Chowdhury as a voting member, reappointing alternate Commissioner Dan Murphy as a voting member, and appointing Zachary Claremont and April Sabi as alternate non-voting members of the Tigard Planning Commission.
Thank you. Youth Councilor Vogel for an advisory vote?
Yes.
It's a lot of saying yes today. I understand. Thank you so much. All of those in favor of resolution number 23-37, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The resolution passes with unanimous vote of the council. Thank you so much. Come on up, April. Can we have the next slide, please? Okay, for the Town Center Advisory Commission, I am recommending reappointment of Chris Sojin for 3 years as a voting member, Susanna Ely as a voting member for 3 years, Patty Lofgren as a voting member for 3 years, Brian Purdon as a voting member for 3 years, and John Goodhouse as an alternate for 3 years. Is there any comments or questions or a motion on this resolution?
Okay, Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 23-38.
I'll second the motion.
Is there any discussion on the resolution? Seeing none, will the city recorder please read the number and title of the resolution?
Resolution number 23-38, a resolution reappointing Chris Sholin as a voting member, appointing Susanna Ely as a voting member, Patty Lofgren as a voting member, Brian Purdon as a voting member, and John Goodhouse as an alternate member to the Town Center Advisory Commission.
Thank you. Youth Councilor Vogel for an advisory vote?
Yes.
Thanks. All of those in favor of resolution number 23-38, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The resolution passes by unanimous vote of the council. Please come on up. You can stay up here. I don't know. Welcome. Thank you for your service. One, two, three. Thanks. Hey, John. The new one. I know. See, totally worth it. Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Can we have the next slide, please? Okay, for the Tiger Transportation Advisory Committee, TTAC, I'm recommending David Fisher as a voting member for 3 years, Barrett Johnson as a voting member for 3 years. Are either of you in the audience today? Welcome. Is there any comments or questions or a motion regarding the resolution?
Mayor, I'd like to move to approve resolution number 23-39.
I second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion regarding the resolution? Seeing none, will the city recorder please read the number and title of the resolution?
Resolution 23-39, a resolution appointing David Fisher as a voting member and appointing Barrett Johnson as a voting member to the Tiger Transportation Advisory Committee.
Thank you. Youth Councilor Vogel as an advisory vote?
Yes.
All right. All of those in favor of resolution number 23-39, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The resolution passes by unanimous vote of the council. Yay. Can we have the next slide, please? Okay. For the Tigard Youth Advisory Council, I am recommending Ayla Langer for reappointing to a one-year voting, I'll just say these are all one-year terms. Ariana Mann as a voting member, Chelsea Vincente, yep, how do I pronounce that? Shiloh. And Scarlett Vincente Shiloh, reappointment. Molly Fast as a voting member, Shreya Mayeni as a voting member, Kimberly Vargas as a voting member, and Chloe Wilson as a voting member. Are any of you here today? Yay, welcome. Okay. Is there any question or comments or a motion for the resolution?
I move to approve resolution 23-40.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, would the city recorder please read the number and title of the resolution?
Resolution number 23-40, a resolution reappointing Isla Leniger, Ariana Mann, Chelsea Vicente Shiloh, Scarlett Vicente Shiloh, and appointing Molly Fast, Sharia Maimehi, Kimberly Vargas, and Chloe Wilson as members to the Tigard Youth Advisory Council.
Thank you. Youth Councilor Vogel for an advisory vote?
Yes.
Thanks. All of those in favor of approving resolution number 23-40, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion is approved by unanimous vote of the council. Can we have the next slide, please? Oh. Just let me know if I missed something. Okay. For the Water Advisory Board, I'm recommending Ken Henschel be an at-large voting member for 4 years and Michael Bruin being at-large voting member for 4 years. Are there any questions or comments regarding the resolution or a motion?
I move to approve resolution number 2341.
I'll second the motion.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the city recorder please read the number and title of the resolution?
Resolution 23-41, a resolution reappointing Ken Henschel as an at-large member and appointing Michael Bruin as an at-large member to the Water Advisory Board.
Thank you. Youth Councilor Vogel for an advisory vote?
Yes.
Thank you. All of those in favor of resolution 23-41, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the resolution passes. Do we have Ken or Michael here today? I didn't see you either. Okay, we will make sure to send them pins, but we can clap for them anyway. That concludes everyone on our list, and I hope you had fun today because we're going to ask you to do a lot of serious work, and I really want to thank you for your commitment and of your time and caring for the city that you live in. We wouldn't be who we are without you, so thank you. I want to open it up if anybody else wants to make any comments about our boards and committees. Just thank you. Okay, thank you so much. All right. The next item on our agenda is a public hearing for time, place, and manner ordinance. I will open the public hearing, and anyone wishing to testify by phone, video, or in person, you may call to get in the queue now by calling 503-966-4101. We also have a sign-up sheet. I do have it up here. One person has signed up, but certainly let us know if you're intending to provide in-person public comment on this public hearing. And we will welcome up Senior Program Manager Azell to present the staff report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you. We can pull up the presentation again. Thank you. So I am Kim Ezell, Program Manager for Strategic Initiatives, and tonight we'll be giving a time, place, manner update. Next slide, please. Brief agenda tonight. We have one recommendation for an ordinance amendment, and then at request of council, we'll go over the time provisions around the region. Next slide, please. Next slide. Based on our previous conversation with council, conversations with our community, conversations with our chart group and their recommendation with our service providers, and understanding that they are frequently distributing food that requires some sort of heating, staff is recommending removing the prohibition of camp stoves to allow houseless community members to heat food. Are there any questions?
Mayor, may I ask just one question? So as far as what the implementation is to heat, is there any guidelines or restrictions?
There will be no guidelines and restrictions other than we will be still prohibiting open flame and be silent on the issue of camp stoves in the ordinance.
Okay, we did not have any written comments received by this item by noon. Senior Network Administrator Thornburg, are there any callers in the queue or anyone wishing to testify by video?
None at this time.
Did you have more?
There's a couple more slides. Next slide. And so I just wanted to give we have no recommendation on this area, but just wanted to provide council with some information about time provisions around the region. So in Tigard, we have prohibited camping between the hours of 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. That allows camping for 14 hours through the evening and prohibits it for 10 hours during the day. That is, other than Washington County's, who allows camping for up to 5 days. That is the longest amount of camping allowed at night within this region at this time. Beaverton, camping is prohibited between 7:30 and 9. Both Hillsborough and Tualatin, it's between 7 and 7. Sherwood is the most restrictive at 7 a.m. to 9. They're the reverse of Tigard. As I stated, Washington County allows camping for up to 5 days, and then in Portland, they've gone 8 to 8. So 12 hours, similar to Hillsborough and Tualatin, but a slightly different time restriction. At this time, like I said, we have no recommendation for changing that. We also know from our colleagues that no one else is considering changing their time at this moment, although in December there is a chance that Beaverton Council may offer that as a recommendation, and we'll continue to update council if that's the case. And that ends my presentation. Welcome for any questions.
Okay, we will, you have a question regarding the, okay, yep, Council President Hu.
I think we discussed this during the previously before we made our decision on our last ordinance regarding time restriction. Can you remind the public why no jurisdiction is changing the time based on the daylight saving time changes?
Yes, so there has been conversations around kind of the seasonality of time and changing with the seasons. It was actually asked by both community members and our service providers that we just maintain one time. At least originally, it's very hard to communicate when the time is changing, and it can be difficult and complicated. So the recommendation was just to set the times and kind of let it go for now. One of the things that we did do when we set our time was we set our times around the times when services are available. So 7 a.m. or 9 a.m. is when breakfast is being served and when the library doors open, and then 7 p.m. is when the library closes. And that is why we set the times that way.
We do have one person signed up to testify in person, and so I will invite Caleb Peterson up. Welcome, Caleb. Come on up. Oh, can you turn your microphone on? Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
One of the ideas that was shared with this council to offset the consequences of requiring people to pack up their camp every morning was the introduction of a storage pod. This would allow people to store their belongings during the day and provide them with the freedom to move about without carrying their entire life's possessions and remaining visibly homeless everywhere they go. Despite my insistence to this council on having the alternative resources available before the enforcement of TPM, the ordinance is now being enforced without the alternative solutions, and I'm hearing that the storage pod is becoming increasingly unlikely to actually happen. Storage options are essential because it's challenging to keep your belongings dry in the rainy months. When you take down a tent in the rain, everything gets wet, leading to serious health and mold concerns. Additionally, many unhoused individuals hold full-time jobs. Under TPM, they're now being forced to hide their belongings during work hours, risking the loss or theft of their possessions and dealing with the stress every day. While the implementation of TPM was beyond your control, the power to determine what's reasonable under these circumstances rests with you. In the winter months, when darkness falls as early as 4:30, people will be required to wait over 2 hours in the dark before they can set up their camps. Given that last December saw more than half of its days with rain, and we're expecting nights as low as 33 degrees this week, it's crucial to understand the physical and emotional toll this will have. There simply aren't enough shelter beds for everyone that wants one. People are having to wait a month or two to get a permanent bed in shelters. It's cruel to expect this community to endure hours in the dark and the rain before they can establish a dry shelter for the night. The only reasonable and humane consideration should be to change time to be from 9 a.m. to sunset, at least during the winter months. Thank you.
Thank you, Caleb. I will invite Program Manager Ezell to come back up for a response to testimony.
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Peterson, for your comments this evening. I do want to respond just that we are still exploring the storage option. We've received a budget proposal from Just Compassion to operate the facility. Came in much higher than we thought it was, so we're exploring options with the county for potentially funding it, and may come back to council with more information. But it is still in process.
Thank you. I will go ahead and close the public hearing. I did want to ask, just because one of our first callers, Anna Murphy, didn't provide her comments, I think, in the public hearing, so I didn't want to ask you to respond to it. But I just wanted to see if you had any response to her comments about the percentage of fires in Portland being related to our homeless population, and just asking us to remove the campfire or the camp stove.
Yeah, and that is absolutely true, that is the percentage of fires and what is happening in Portland. In Tigard, we have a much smaller portion of our houseless population per capita, so we aren't seeing a lot of the same concerns that are popping up in Portland, including that increased fire risk. But we will continue to monitor if there is an increase in fires and inform council.
Thank you. I will open it up for council consideration of the ordinance. Are there any additional questions or comments? Council President Hu?
Yep, I move to approve ordinance number 23-07.
Second.
Okay, the ordinance has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, City Recorder, can you please read the number and title of the ordinance?
Ordinance number 23-07, an ordinance amending Tigard Municipal Code Section 7.80.030 D5 regarding prohibited fires.
Do we need to do a roll call vote for the ordinance? I see it in
the ordinance.
Okay.
Yes.
Will you conduct a roll call vote, starting with the Youth Councilor Vogel for an advisory vote, please?
Youth Councilor Vogel?
Yes.
Councilor Shaw?
Yes.
Councilor Wolf?
Yes.
Council President Hu?
Yes.
Mayor Lube?
Yes.
Councilor Singh?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, ordinance number 23-07 is adopted by unanimous vote of the council. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is a photo traffic enforcement program update, and we have Lieutenant Erickson, Sergeant Doherty, Senior Court Clerk Fenton, and Finance Director Kang. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor, councilors. For the record, Lieutenant Lee Erickson with the Tigard Police Department. Got Sergeant Dowdy, also of the Tigard Police Department, Finance Director Kang, and Senior Court Clerk Fenton to present as well tonight. So next slide, please. So we're just going to give you a brief overview of the program, the history of it through creation and discussions to where we're at today and how it operates. Go through some statistics, show you the court packet and the citation packet. We'll talk about the public awareness that we did when we first implemented this and what we're continuing to do today. We'll look at what some of the data is showing us, as well as what other studies show for future planning. The court and the finance department will give a brief update, and then we'll open it up for questions. This will be the first of probably two presentations. Tonight is just to kind of give you that history and that overview, and then we'll come back at a future date to provide a recommendation on the path forward for us. Next slide, please. So what is photo enforcement? Photo enforcement is a system that uses cameras and other sensors at intersections to enforce red light violations and intersection speed violations. So our technology that we use uses radar. Other companies use loops in the ground to pick up how fast vehicles are going and when they're approaching the intersection, anticipate if they're going to violate or create a violation, and then begin to capture photos and video of that violation. Ours uses radar. When we have these systems in place, some of the stuff that we have to do with them, we have to submit a biannual report to the state legislature in every odd-numbered year. We have to have personnel on hand that are trained to review the events before citations are issued. So the company does their work, they send it over to us, and then we do our work before a citation's issued. If we're going to enforce speed, they have to be going at least 11 miles an hour over the posted limit. If we're going to enforce red light or speed, we have to have advisory signs for the intersections to denote that we're doing either or both. There has to be a public information campaign prior to implementation, and we have to seek approval from ODOT as well as permitting if the cameras are in an ODOT-controlled intersection. Next slide, please. So for our history, it goes back to August of 2010 when the police department first presented information to City Council about what these systems are and what they look like. Between 2015 and 2017, there was further discussions. Council directed us to conduct a survey which indicated 62% of the community approves the use of photo traffic enforcement in Tigard. That led to us to have a full request for proposal process in 2018 that identified Conduit as our vendor for the system. From October of 2018 to January of 2020, we went through the permitting and approval process with ODOT and began to have the systems installed. In March of 2020 was when we first began to issue citations for the red light system. And in July of 2020, we began to issue citations for speed limit violations at selected intersections. Next slide, please. So these systems are in alignment with council goals. They're in line with the strategic vision for the city, as well as with the transportation systems plan. They mitigate the frequency and severity of crashes at intersections, and they improve pedestrian safety to help enhance community safety and accessibility. They help ensure that Tigard is an equitable community that's walkable, healthy, and accessible for everyone. And they provide some safety and mitigation of risk to make our transportation system available for all users, especially pedestrians and vulnerable users. Next slide. Sergeant Dowdy.
So based on the information at the beginning, prior to implementation, we determined that these three intersections were the best for the initial install. Pacific at Hall, so we have north and southbound Pacific, and then north on Hall. Pacific at Durham, we have north and south Pacific Highway, and this is red light. And then we have Pacific Highway at 72nd, and that's north and south on Pacific Highway. Next slide, please. So this is an overview of Pacific and Hall. As you can see, there's a lot of cars that run through this intersection during the daytime. It makes more traditional traffic enforcement a little bit more difficult. It's hard to place a patrol car on the side of the road. It's hard to place a motorcycle on the side of the road, especially with all the traffic during the daytime. Next slide, please. This is Pacific at Durham, where we have just the north and southbound approaches. Next slide, please. And then this is Pacific at 72nd. Again, another very busy intersection. This is where most of our events take place that we review. And we have north and southbound Pacific on this one as well. Next slide, please. And so this is kind of how the operations work. The violation is detected. The data is sent over to our vendor. The vendor then does some DMV information, some image clarity, and then they forward it over to the police department then for one of our sworn officers to review it. Currently, we have our traffic enforcement agents is made up of mainly our motor officers, do it most of the time. The vendor then prints and mails the approved citations, and then the defendant is given a certificate of innocence and a non-liability form included with their citation packet. The vendor then forwards that adjudication packet over here to Tigard's Municipal Court for trial set. Next slide, please. So this vendor contract is housed within the police department's operations budget. The revenues from this photo enforcement program funds the traffic sergeant position, which I currently occupy, and then the evening traffic safety officer who works a 5 p.m. to 3 a.m. shift. Council did approve us for a part-time photo traffic enforcement specialist. that we have not filled yet because the contract with the union just was ratified here recently. And then we're currently utilizing, again, traffic safety officers and officers on modified duty, light duty, to complete all the review of our photo citations. Next slide, please. And then the system goes through a lot of maintenance, and if you've ever driven by one of these intersections at night and you haven't done anything wrong and the cameras go off, a lot of times those are just test shots. So the system is constantly updating itself for clarity. The company wants to know, make sure that all the cameras are working on a daily basis, and then if they go down, then they let me know so that we can adjust our workload accordingly and our charges accordingly. And then they have a local office with field service technicians that come out and regularly check the cameras physically and in person. So, next slide, please.
All right, so this is back to me. So what you're seeing here is some of the data that we see when we're reviewing the events online. So we get pictures that capture the vehicle prior to entering the intersection, but you can see there that the light has already turned red. We set ours so that there is a delay between when the light turns red before enforcement would occur. So we added a 0.1 second addition into, once the light turns red, you get 0.1 second, and then if you enter the intersection, it would be triggered for a violation. So you can see in that second picture in the top right, the vehicle is now in the middle of the intersection, the light is still red. We get a close-up of the driver, and we get a close-up of the plate. Next slide. We also see a video. If we can try and play that, should start right up. So it's a 12-second video, should keep playing, I hope. Here we go. There we go. So it captures, so not only do we get the pictures with the data, but we also get the video that shows the violation occurring. Next slide. So statistics. So what we're seeing over the years since we implemented. So for red light, we started in March of 2020. As a reminder, that's when COVID first started. So traffic volumes were down significantly for part of that year. I think some of the data I looked at in April and May of 2020 showed that traffic volumes were down about 40% across the metro area for those 2 months. Coming through to 21 and 22, volume started to return to normal, so the red light violations started to come normal, but they've kind of stabilized over the year and are continuing to be stabilized as we see through just July of this year. Next slide. For intersection speed, again, we saw an initial spike. We started in July of 2020 with these. We waited a few months after turning on the red light before we started doing intersection speed. And so initially we saw, we were seeing around 150 to 160 speed violations per day. That came down substantially over the next few months and then has stabilized. You can see a very significant dip in 2022 where we lost about 5,000 citations being reported from 2021 for 72nd Avenue. That was due to some issues that the camera system had there. First was a part failed on the camera, and it took several months due to supply chain issues for it to be replaced. And then it was working for about 11, 12 days, and then it got struck by a drunk driver and was knocked out for another 2 months before it could be repaired. So all told, about 139 days of service were lost in 2022 for that one camera, and that one camera does provide the bulk of our violations that we see in review. Next slide. So this is what the citation packet looks like. This is what's mailed to the defendant for them to take a look at and review. This first part here is just the notice of violation. It gives them some very basic information about when and where the violation occurred, what information was captured. And then at the top left in that yellow box, it gives them the link to go online and look at the video if they choose. So they can go in, look at the citation number, and then enter the PIN number that's there, and then they can watch the video of the violation as it was captured. Next slide. Just some instructions on how to consider their options, and then the certificate of innocence. So if the citation is issued to an individual as a registered owner, they have the opportunity to fill out this form and submit it to the court. If it's filled out appropriately and correctly with a photo of their driver's license front and back attached, the citation will be dismissed. Next slide. And then a copy of the actual citation itself. It looks very much the same as the citations we issue out on the roadside. Next slide. The public awareness campaign that we engaged in prior to going live was very robust. We had a billboard posted on Highway 99 near 72nd Avenue. We had several social media posts. We went to many different community events. We had radio and television interviews in English and Spanish. We've had kiosks posted at Bridgeport Cinema's lobby, here at City Hall lobby, and in the police department lobby. And we put advertisements out in newspaper and other media. Next slide. That public awareness continues to today. Monthly violation data is provided to council as part of the chief's dashboard. It's documented in the police department's annual report. We continue to post items on our social media outlets. We're continuing to engage in Let's Talk Transportation. Just next week, I'll be presenting to the Tiger Transportation Advisory Council. We just had one of our motors officers interviewed last week back in November of last year about traffic safety in general, to kind of keep that knowledge out there that these systems are in place and that we're using them, as well as traffic safety and Tigard is important. Next slide. So one of the reasons why we have these are for events like this. This will be a near collision. See if it'll play. Fingers crossed. So if memory serves, before the red car there entered the intersection, the light had been red for about 40 seconds. And you saw at least 2 near crashes there occurring. Next slide. So what we see from national studies and international studies and data that kind of support the use of these systems, they show that crashes are reduced in general. There's always a general concern that if you put these systems in, it increases the number of rear-end crashes, because then people, they get scared as they approach and they come to a sudden stop, and then the vehicle behind them can't stop in time. So when they looked at that, they saw there was maybe a potential for an increase of about 15% of rear-end crashes, but those tended to be lower impact, less dangerous kinds of crashes, versus a reduction in 20 to 25% of dangerous crashes like head-on and T-bone style crashes like you saw in that video. So largely these systems do reduce the amount of crashes, and that's supported by the data that we've looked at for Tigard. Next slide, please. So looking at apples to apples by our intersections, you can see that since we've installed these systems in 2020, especially at the intersections where we put these in, the crashes have gone down significantly. So take, for example, Hall Boulevard. We had a yearly average of 22.5 crashes over a 3-year period before we put the cameras in. For the 3-year period after we put the cameras in, we went down to 9.67 crashes per year on average. So these systems do help bring traffic calming to the area and alleviate some of the crash problems that we've had. Next slide. Also for future planning, the city is embarking on the Safe Streets for All program. So we'll be looking at how that develops and what data it produces, so that if we continue to use these systems, trying to leverage that information to determine where else we may need to use these, or if we're using them in the appropriate places already. So we'll continue to monitor that and work with the folks on that project to see how we can continue to improve traffic safety with these systems. Next slide.
That's me.
Yep.
So with the implementation of the photo enforcement program, we saw a significant increase in cases filed with the court. We're currently fully staffed and we're able to handle the current workload. We have doubled the time court is in session. We've added half a day of trials and an open court session at each week to ensure that we're meeting speedy trial deadlines and providing excellent customer service. Next slide.
Good evening, Mayor. Mayor and council. So I'm just here to provide a high-level overview of the financial performance of the program since the inception of the program to date. So as you can see from the slide, the program does not have a positive fund balance and is approximately around 200,000 in the red as of June 30th, 2023. And I do want to caveat that these are unaudited actuals. And this is the accumulated fund balance of the program from the inception, which does include a lot of the startup costs that you see in that FY 2019 and FY 2020 column. And a lot of the startup costs included things such as infrastructure for building the cameras themselves, hiring of staff, including reconfiguration of the physical space within City Hall to support the program. And although the accumulated fund balance is negative, you can see that on an annual basis, we see that the program is self-sustaining its own costs, which started at during FY21. We would anticipate that all of the startup costs, which were initially funded by the general fund, will be recuperated within the next 2 to 3 years. And while we feel confident in providing a range of 2 to 3 years, it has taken longer than expected to recoup all of the startup costs. Since the inception of the program, there have been several external factors that Lieutenant Erickson had touched upon, including things like COVID and the cameras being shut down for a period of time, which kind of resulted in some of the volatility over this 5-year span. I also want to note that this program was designed to promote public safety with the ability to be self-sustained to cover its operating costs in order to run the program. And with that, I'll turn it over to Lieutenant Erickson.
Thank you. Next slide, please. So our next step, the contract that we're operating under was supposed to expire this month, but we've extended it for one more year to give us more time to consider a path forward here. So we'll return within a month's time with a recommendation. What we're considering right now is whether to continue the program as is, to discontinue using photo traffic enforcement, or to continue with some modifications. And we'll make a recommendation at that point in time. The key piece to leave here with is what we're seeing is these programs create a lot of work, but it's manageable. But we do think that they do help promote traffic safety throughout the city of Tigard. We're trending in the right way with the crash data. We're trending in the right way with the financial data. So with that, next slide. What questions can we answer for you?
Thank you. Questions? Yeah, Councilor Wolf.
Thank you all for the presentation and then also the follow-up on the questions that I had. The one thing, and as I was sitting here listening to thinking about 72nd, thinking about a future contract and the impact of 139 days, I hope there's a way, supply chain issues impacted so many organizations, municipalities, companies. I don't know if there's a way to think through that in a contract, but it's pretty significant to have a program result of 334,000 down to 53. So just a wondering that I had as you think about contract negotiations in the future. Seems like a huge impact. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Councilor Singh.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for the presentation. I had a question specifically about the vendor conduit, and just curious. I know surveillance technology can be controversial, and just wanted to know a little bit more about them, like where they're based and what your thoughts are on how that's going.
Sure, yeah, so they're an extremely large company. I think they have somewhere in the tens of thousands of employees spread out across the world. I don't know what their relationship to surveillance technologies or anything like that. We're not using anything that has facial recognition, biometric recognition, or even plate recognition, logging, or anything like that. The only data that we are collecting and have access to is when a violation has alleged to have occurred, and then it captures the license plate information, and then and that's all we have access to. So unless we have reason to believe a violation occurred, we don't have any kind of logs of data, tracking movement, or anything like that. Mm-hmm.
Councilor Shaw.
Thank you for the report, very comprehensive. Appreciate the information and the answers to the questions as well. With regards to test shots, and I know anecdotally we hear from several folks that the lights are very bright, and I will admit I'm one who received a ticket. And so unfortunately, it does work. I was speeding. I did pay my fine, and I appreciate the hard work you all do. Having said that, now that I'm very red for admitting that, but the test shots, those lights are very bright. And I have heard from several folks who said, I wasn't speeding, the light went off, it caused me to almost jar or turn off the road, and then I never received anything in the mail. So are those test shots done at odd times? Like when there's not a lot of driving, is there ways not to have necessarily the light go off? Though I know that's probably partly what they're testing, but I've seen that a number of times, and I've heard it a couple of times too.
Sure. So the test shots mostly are done in the very early morning hours, like 3 a.m. The ones that I've seen in the system, that it's usually logging between that 2 to 4 a.m. time frame, and it's usually, I don't know if it has a window that's looking for when a vehicle comes through, but it's trying to capture vehicle as it comes through, so it shows that it is able to do all the pictures it needs to do. The brightness, yeah, we've heard a lot of complaints, and we've worked with our contractor to reduce that as much as we can. But the ability for the cameras to see inside the vehicle for us to be able to try and identify the driver, it's kind of an unfortunate consequence for it. The second part of that issue is it may not be a test shot when somebody gets flashed. It may not be flashing for them because there's 3, sometimes 4 lanes of travel in each direction at these intersections. It could be somebody else was committing a violation, or it could be the system's anticipating violations are going to occur because of how fast the vehicle's going, the phase of the light, all those kinds of things, and it started to take its photos. We have to take 5 photos for each violation, so it's a lot of flashes. It is an unfortunate side effect, but it is something we can continue to look for in the future to try and make improvements on.
Thank you, Mayor, and I can attest that the pictures are very clear. So thank you.
From the data, you are not the only one. So, Council President Hu.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councilor Shaw, for the testimony. And now, just to the member of the public, now you hear this, the council member cannot do anything about your speeding ticket. So we're happy to hear about your concern, but there's nothing we can do once the ticket has been issued. It's just to put out there. So I have 3 questions. First of all, the crash statistic reported by ODOT seem to show that even sections where there are no red light camera have improved in terms of crash history. So that's amazing. That's why So for me personally, I can't speak for council. I would definitely, based on this slide alone, I would want to continue at least in one form or the other. Second of all, I recently learned on my own that the intersection in Durham doesn't have speed detections because the speed limit changes within 2 blocks of it, and the city might have request ODOT to make it consistent, so we can implement speed detection at intersections. Is my understanding correct, or?
Your understanding is correct. Yeah, the speed does change actually right at the intersection itself, and so when we applied for approval to use speed enforcement there, ODOT said that was one of their concerns because of the confusion. It drops rapidly from 55 to 45 to 40. And so they were hesitant to do it. We appealed. We even offered that we would enforce it at the 45-mile-an-hour speed limit instead of the 40-mile-an-hour speed limit.
Right.
And so giving people even that extra 5 miles an hour, and they still said that on appeal they still said no, that it wouldn't be appropriate for us to be able to enforce speed there.
And they're now amenable to change the speed limit to all the same. So
we didn't discuss trying to change the speed limit. That's something we can.
Okay.
If we're going to open up conversations with them for other considerations, we could ask that.
Okay. One last question is, so if we do wish to go forward with the contract renewal, does the vendor have any limitation on terms? Like if they want to go forward, would they insist on having 3-year terms, 5-year term, or is it year by year? They are amenable to year by year renewal. Do we know that?
I don't have an answer to that. We can look into that and try and get you an answer.
Yeah, because my concern right now is I mean, it's not a legal issue, but based on my question and your answer is that there's some customer service issue with the vendor providing their data a little bit too late to our core system. So that's, that doesn't meet our community promise, one of the E's, excellence in customer service. So I have concern about them not improving that if we renew for a 5-year term. So I'm just putting out there. But sounds like somebody may have an answer to that.
Lisa Shaw, Business Manager for the Police Department, and I just wanted to reassure council that one of the options is to have a competitive process so that all vendors who can offer this service in addition to the current vendor, so that we could in fact highlight certain aspects of customer service during the process, and then once, if we were to go down that road, once we had an identified vendor, we could build more things into the contract in terms of customer service to address some of those concerns.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah. Has any of the discussion prompted any additional questions? No? I just want to say the crash statistics are really, really helpful, because I think when people are very angry about receiving a ticket, they'll say things like, that doesn't fix anything and it makes it all worse. And like, this is actually the data where we can say, actually, again, it's not just helping those intersections, it's helping that entire stretch be safe. And so that's really helpful. And I will also add that I am horrified when you post on social media some of those videos of some of the intersections in our community. And I think that level of visibility is really, really helpful to say, this is what we are trying to prevent and hold accountable for. And so thank you for communicating with our community and showing that, even though I am personally horrified when I see them. As someone who drives those intersections, we want our community to be safe. So thank you so much for the briefing, and we look forward to you coming back next month with additional recommendations. Next steps. We don't have any non-agenda items this evening, and we held our executive session earlier. So I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
I move to adjourn, Mayor.
I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. Will the city recorder please conduct a roll call vote? Can I just do a voice vote? Okay. All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you so much. Good night, Tigard.